here, MuayThaiMovement.com. Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about shadowboxing. Alright, so I remember when I was a beginner and I first started training in Muay Thai, I hated shadowboxing. Alright, it was just a weird thing to me. I'm throwing punches at the air. I know a lot of beginners, they come in, they feel real self-conscious and they're looking around and you know, they don't know that many techniques yet, so they feel like everybody's looking at them and they just feel really uncomfortable, which is natural. All right, but what people don't realize is shadowboxing is probably one of the most important parts of training. Okay, if anybody's familiar with other martial arts such as karate or other forms of kung fu, all right, they do what they call katas. And what a kata is basically it's a set of precise and slow movements that they do to help them advance in their martial arts training. All right, these movements that they do are actually techniques that they would do in the heat of battle. So when they're doing these katas, they're actually training their techniques. All right. Well, in the sport of Muay Thai, we don't have a kata. Okay, we don't have a set form of movements that we do to help perfect our techniques. So in all reality, shadowboxing is our kata. Okay, so when we're shadowboxing, we have to remember a number of things. All right, so it's a good time for us to really focus on ourselves and focus on our body movements and if our body is working as one, right? So for example, if I'm shadowboxing and some people, they get so focused on throwing punches, right, that their feet are in one spot, they're not moving, or they're flat-footed, right? So that's one example. Another example is maybe I'm so focused on throwing kicks today that my hands are coming back and they're down at my chest, they're down at my hips. All right, that's no good. All right, we always want to make sure our body is working together and moving as one. So shadowboxing is a good time to really focus on this. All right, it's also a good time to really stay loose and work on having fluid motions rather than being stiff and moving around and not throwing good technique. Okay, it's a good time to keep our shoulders nice and loose, to make sure our punches are snapping, make sure we're leaning back far enough when we throw our teeps, make sure we're turning our hip over on our kicks. All right, when we're in the heat of battle or competing or doing something with self-defense, we don't have time to think about all that. We don't have time to think at all. Okay, we just have time to react. All right, and that's one of the things that people really need to realize is that when we shadowbox, this is a good time for us to have a very good mental conversation with ourselves and make sure everything is working in conjunction with one another. All right, one other thing that I want you guys to remember is that when you're shadowboxing, guys, don't worry so much about power, okay? You guys aren't going to knock something out or knock someone out that isn't there, all right? It's fine to worry about speed and technique, right? You're here, you're throwing your punches, you're turning your kicks over, you're throwing your teeps, everything in a fast pace, that's fine. But don't worry about throwing your punches so hard that your hands are swimming, you're coming back down here, you're not bringing your hand right back to your head, or when you're throwing a punch, your other hand is down at your chest. All right, that's no good. Slow it down a little bit, go as fast as you can without sacrificing technique. Once you start feeling like you're getting a little sloppy, take it down a notch, and then just reset. All right? You're not going to knock out the air, guys. You're not going to knock out your imaginary opponent. All right? When you are shadowboxing, you do want to envision somebody in front of you, though, and they're throwing punches at you, and you're blocking and you're returning. They're throwing kicks, you're checking and returning. All right? So, guys, do not skip over your shadowboxing. All right? Do not do it. I know guys get anxious, and they're like, oh, I just want to hit some pads. I just want to learn some technique. Well, guys, I got news for you. If you don't focus on your shadowboxing, your technique isn't going to be all that great when you're hitting pads anyway. Okay, because shadowboxing is a good time to really perfect this technique. If you're so worried about smashing pads, your punches are going to start looking like this. Your kicks may start coming upwards at an angle. You're not going to worry about turning your hip over. All right? So you have to program yourself to throw these techniques properly. Because if you get into an altercation or you plan on competing, okay, you're not going to have time to think. You're not going to think about how great your punches are snapping or how great your hips are turning over. You have to make sure you automatically do it and you're able to do it without having to think about it. It has to become a natural reaction. All right, guys, this is Anthony, MuayThaiMovement.com. If I forgot anything or if you guys want to add anything, feel free to contact me. As always,